T.O., I'm going to you first on this one again. Okay. We're going down south. We're heading down to Auburn. We're heading down to an ex-Furman point guard. Is JP Pegues the answer to Auburn's point guard dilemma?
Oof. That one's it's going to be a dramatic step up in competition. SoCon has been good over the last few years. JP was at his best when he was third, maybe fourth option at Furman. And he was really good at times. Do I think he's going to be? Man, that's a good question. That's a good question. I think it's going to be hard for him. 18-4 for a Furman team that was very ho-hum last year. They were just kind of figuring themselves out. They did lose some guys to injury, sure, but he's going to have to be extremely good. And I'm not sure he's the same kind of creator that they've had at that spot in recent years. JP's much better where he gives the ball up and gets it back, to where some of these other guys, the Jared Harpers that have had extreme success under Bruce Pearl, some of these other guys, Aiden Holloway, when he had good games, like they're shot creating guards who do it for themselves. JP's got to give it up and get it back. So can he be that guy? I don't know. That's a tough one. I do like some of the things that you can do with Tahad Pettiford to inject some athleticism and quickness there. If not off the bench, then play those two guys right beside each other. You're going to be really fast. It's going to be tough, because I think that's a lot of responsibility on Pegues' shoulders for a guy who is best when he gives it up and played in a really elaborate offensive system at Bob Ritchie. And Bruce Pearl does a great job offensively. They run a lot of unorthodox. It's like an off version of a flex with skip passes and up passes to an up screen, an uphill ball screen, and things of that nature. They do a lot of really cool stuff, but he's not a shot creating guard in its purest form with the ball in his hands. He's more of a get rid of it, get it back, and then attack a closeout, that kind of thing.
The one thing I will say, and then I'll pass it off to you, Fanda, is that I agree with a lot of what you said. I just think the situation is a little bit better for a guy like that, T.O., because you still have Janai Broom out there, right? And I think that Janai Broom is going to kind of be the anchor. Everything I've heard coming out of Auburn about Miles Kelly is that, like, this dude has come in and has earned a starting spot, or earned the minutes and earned the shots that he's going to get. I don't know if it's necessarily a starting spot, but I really do think that there are enough options there where it's not going to be everything on JP's plate. You just need a guy in that role that I think will be more efficient and a better decision maker and a better shooter than what we've seen out of it was Aiden Holloway, and who was the guy that was there that they brought Aiden in over? I can't remember who it was. We made fun of him too much 2 years ago. Either way, we'll keep it moving.
Nightmare Fuel?
Not yeah. Who was in the backcourt with Katie Johnson, the transfer from Eastern Kentucky? I can't remember who it was. I'll bring up his name right now. Go ahead, Fana.
Wendell Green.
Wendell Green. There you go.
Wendell Green. Yes, Wendell Green, who I saw at TBT playing for the Auburn team this past summer, and he led them to a win, and then it went the other way the next game. Okay, so I think that
that sounds like Wendell Green, Fanta. That sounds like
yes.
Green.
I don't want to rag on him, but yes. So I took a look at KenPom, and Auburn's had a top 40 offense for the last 5 years. That's not in doubt. Bruce Pearl's going to have an offense that the question is it a top 40 offense? Or does it become like last year when it was a top 10 offense in the country? That's the question here. So Auburn, to me, this is what separates the national championship contenders from a really good second weekend type team, which I think Auburn is that. I don't think that they're a title-worthy team. Maybe they become one. Maybe they are one, and maybe they prove me wrong in that conversation. But I don't see it. I think that they're a top 3. Top 4, because I got to tell you guys, I'm going to call it right now. The SEC is going to have a surprise. There's so many good teams in that league. One of the teams picked outside the top 5 is going to end up in the top 5, if not top 3. So for me, when I look at, I do agree with Terrence. I think the X factor here is Tahad Pettiford. Bruce is good with freshmen. He figures out ways to use them the right way.
And he lets them be them. Sorry, go ahead.
And he lets them be them. Pegues has to the expectations can't be through the roof for this kid, but it's a great question because he's going to be the point guard. Can a point guard be third or fourth option? Maybe, but he's got to create for the top 2 or 3 then and make things happen. Now, the 2, 3, 4 slots on this team are interesting, right? You bring in Miles Kelly from Georgia Tech. It's a good pickup. Denver Jones, is he going to make a leap? And then Chaney Johnson, likely at the 4 here. You know, that to me, those positions, or Chad Baker-Mazara, who's back, has that role at the 4, who's a good player. And then you have an All-American in Janai Broome. But like sometimes your point guard is as good as the 2, 3, 4 slots are on your team because that's who he's distributing to. Auburn's really, they're a good to really good team. Pegues, I think, will be able to handle the workload provided that he gets some help there from a quality number 2. But I don't think that JP Pegues is going to be, out over his skis in this role. I just think that Bruce has to be realistic with what he's asking of JP Pegues because JP Pegues is not an All-American guard. He's not. He's a good player. If he's Auburn's most important player, though, I don't know if Auburn's best player is Janai Broome. If you're relying on Pegues to be your backbone, you're probably not a top 15 team.
I have him 6th in the SEC.
Auburn?
Yeah, I had him 9th. I had him 9th. Went back and looked at it. I moved him up to 6th.
You could be a top 15 team in America, and you can be number 6 in the SEC this year. Like that's very possible.
But you're still making the tournament. Yeah, 6th in the SEC. You're still making the tournament.
Yeah.